Here it is, finally. Limbus Company Arknights collab is probably one of the more anticipated collabs that a lot of people always kinda imagined could happen, especially ever since that one video by Harlequin Wheels, where the Limbus cast and some of the Arknights characters sit together on a bus as the camera pans out while Gregor's Pass On plays in the background. And also the first ever April Fool's event with Virgilius. I forgot that this one exists. It's been an idea that has always been on the mind of some people, but it was always something that probably wouldn't come to fruition, because of how unlikely it was, I guess. But then, on November 22nd, 2024, on Project Moon's 8th anniversary stream, we got a very short teaser and some small information of the Arknights collab coming, and the reaction to that was pure excitement. And then, after 9 months, we finally get a fucking trailer, which, my god, it's peak cinema. I love it a lot. With the multitude of references in the egos and the music, my god, it's a banner. The second one being a remix of other tides. I love it a lot. Now, yes, I do play Arknights, and I am at least familiar with the lore of Arknights. A good amount of it. I'm not an expert, but it is something. So here's what's happening, right? In this video, I want to essentially describe the lore of the 4 egos, aka the operators that they represent, I guess. Those being Scotty, Lynn, Kaltsit, and Weinar, who are egos for Ishmael, Hanlu, Faust, and Gregor respectively. And see if they make sense, contextually. Now, 2 things to consider before going in. Firstly, this is not a basic introduction to Arknights lore kind of video. You can watch someone else for that. But despite that though, I will provide some context whenever I need to. And secondly, I will be simplifying a lot of things, which may make some things that I will provide context for be a bit inaccurate, shall we say. So now, with that out of the way, let's begin. So, in the world of Arknights, aka Terra, there are multiple different factions with different types of people, histories, cultures, etc. And each one of our 4 characters belong in a different one. So with that in mind, from the map, let's go all the way down to the south, where the coasts of Iberia and the big, dark, and stormy ocean of Aegir is in. This is where the story of the collab will take place, along with where our first operator that we're covering comes from, Scotty. Yeah, can't believe that's actually a meme. Scotty can be explained as someone who is a bit stoic, I guess, considering that she belongs to a group called the Abyssal Hunters. The Abyssal Hunters are a group of Aegir super soldier hybrids hunting down the abyssal sea monsters known as the Seaborn, aka the enemies that we're fighting. Think of the Seaborn as a bunch of sea monsters with a hive mind called the Wee Many that essentially tell every single Seaborn to destroy the world, essentially. And for Scotty, they are the ones that killed her entire family when she was a child. How original. Eventually, she and the other Abyssal Hunters fought in a giant war against a bunch of Seaborn gods known as the Firstborn, one of them being Isharmla, whose blood eventually fused with Scotty's. Now, she is still alive thanks to her immense strength, but she believed that she needs to isolate herself because of the massive risk of her Seaborn godlike blood corrupting her and potentially her allies. So, she became a solo bounty hunter, going by the title of the Walking Catastrophe because of her, well, immense strength. Now, she's usually hired and was eventually recruited by a pharmaceutical company known as Rhodes Island to deal with some problems whenever they need to, especially whenever it comes to shit like the Seaborn. So I won't be too surprised if Scotty appears in the collab story as well. Maybe. Now, with that story in mind, how does she fit to Ishmael? Well, the only thing that I guess would make the 2 of them be similar to each other would be Scotty's whole whale thing that she has and her relations to the ocean, similar to Ishmael, and also the hunting of Isharmla, which can be similar to Ishmael hunting for the pallid whale, and also possibly the whole corrupting kind of thing that is going on between the 2, since Scotty has a non-canon plotline of what would happen if she fails and becomes the new Isharmla, similar to how there's a Captain Ishmael who became the new Ahab through corruption. But to be honest, the most likely reason why Ishmael has her as an ego is because there's no one else as popular as Scotty and is fish related. Now, there are other characters that definitely fit a lot more, like Irene, for example, who also has an obsession problem, kind of, but she's not as popular as Scotty, so yeah. Anyways, cool character, and a cool ego as well. Love her a lot. On to the next one. Moving on up from the Aegir Sea, we eventually reach the ancient land known as Yan, where our second character, Lin, comes from. Lin is an alcoholic poet and a military strategist who would protect Yan at times of need, until she became an unofficial member of Rose Island as a tactician. But she's not just an alcoholic who likes to ponder on life's wonders through ancient Chinese poetry, but also a dragon, if it wasn't obvious enough. Now, I say she's a dragon, but that's only partially true. She's actually a fragment of one, an ancient dragon god known as Sui. Sui was something known as a Faranmant, which is essentially a race of ancient godlike beings that exist in Terra, such as Sami, Ya, and obviously Sui. Sui was very, very selfish and wanted to rule the entirety of Yan alone, and due to the great hunt against the deities, Sui decided to betray its own kin and join the Emperor of Yan to kill them all, in the hopes that it becomes the only true god of Yan, which eventually led it to being extremely weak due to all the fighting and under the control of the Emperor. And after that, Sui was eventually sealed and shattered itself into 12 different fragments, one of these fragments being Lin, of course. All 12 fragments start their lives off with a question of who am I, and each one of them came to different answers at different times, such as art, architecture, agriculture, all of that jazz. In the case of Lin, her answer was poetry, or at least I assume it was poetry. And from that, she was eventually born into the actual, real existence with a body as the third eldest fragment, or what they like to call each other, siblings. Lin enjoyed her time in life until she ran into the problem of immortality and fell to a depression as everything changed around her while she stayed the same, until the eldest brother, Chun Yue, came in and told her to explore around the world, starting by protecting the city as a military strategist. And after a few centuries, she decided to explore a lot more of the world, eventually settling in on a mountain, which she disintegrates entirely into her dream realm with her power known as Unfettered, which allows her to essentially bend reality and the like in the form of dreams. And eventually, after some events, she came to Rose Island to check up on her younger siblings that are also there. Lin is an interesting yet somewhat understandable selection to be Hanlu's ego. I'd personally go for Dusk, who fits the whole living a comfortable life, escaping reality kind of thing, but Lin also works, I guess. I think the common thing that both Hanlu and Lin have is probably how chilled both of them are. Their personalities definitely fit each other a bunch, and also their resistance to change as the both of them wish to stay on their clouds, I guess. But yeah, no, other than that, I can't really think of what else could fit between the two of them, so I'll just leave it there. Oh boy, you want to know how much of a coincidence there should be to release a collab with Calcit being one of the characters there, and in Arknights, and spoiler alert here, she turned to dust in the most recent chapter for the global servers of Arknights, and also getting a very unique L2D made outfit from her side story in the CN servers. My god, it's cute. Calcit had a couple of things going on around the same time as the collab is coming in, so from just that, I guess we can say that she is kind of important. And she is very, very important in the lore of Arknights. Calcit, unlike the other characters, was an artificial creation made by two predecessors originally named Amaten. The predecessors were the original humans before the furries came in, by the way. So it was a long time before anything else is happening on Terra right now. These two predecessors, who were named Priestess and Oracle, who would eventually become the Doctor that we know now, created Amaten for, I guess, witnessing the world of Terra evolving from beginning to end, considering the fact that she is immortal, and not just age-wise, she is literally immortal. If you try to kill her, she'll just come back with a different yet similar body. Since her creation, she has witnessed and participated in multiple events that changed the world. And sure, a lot of these are important, but the two major ones that I believe is important to Calcit was her time in Rhodes Island, obviously, and its original predecessor, Babel. Babel was an organization made to essentially fix the very broken relationship between the Sarkaz race and the rest of the world, since all of the races condemned the Sarkaz's demonic nature and history. Calcit here was a lieutenant for Babel and an advisor for its leader, Teresa, during a civil war between her and her brother, Teresa's, due to some incidents. Now, although there are some things that I would like to talk about during our time in Babel, I want to quickly jump ahead in order to make things a little bit short. So, Teresa eventually dies, killed by the Doctor, for reasons that are too complex and too long to go through. Just know that it pertains to aliens called the Observers, and turning the entirety of Terra into a magic cancer rock in space to avoid said aliens. After the events of Babel, Rhodes Island was eventually created from the ashes of Babel with Amia, who was a child at the time of Babel's existence. She now becomes an official leader of Rhodes Island, although, truth be told, the actual leader here was Calcit, since she does practically everything here, and is also Amia's mentor and doctor for her special condition as the new Lord of Sarkaz that Calcit hides from her. After the establishment of Rhodes Island happened, we then get to the main story, where after the multitudes of chapters and events, she eventually, truly, dies in the most recent chapter, killed by Priestess. And also isekais into the Limbus world as a ghost in a fast seagull, I guess. Now look, I know I rushed through a lot of Calcit's lore, and there is a lot I have not gone through, such as her involvement with Scotty and the Seaborn, her relationship with post-amnesia Doctor, a lot of things essentially. But to be honest, I felt this was kinda inevitable either way, so oh well. Anyways, with that in mind, Calcit and Faust was a very, very obvious choice when it was first teased on who would get the egos. Calcit is a genius in a lot of departments in her Law and Eternal Life, and Faust is a genius with her Gesellschaft. Both geniuses, and Faust has the ego. I mean, come on. Very obvious choice there. Now with that, on to the last character now. In the north of Terra, here we have Casimirs, a faction that is very much known for two things: their knights and commerce, and racism as well, I guess. In this place lived an overworked and tired man known as Moinar. He was the youngest son of a hero named Carol, and was originally one of the many knights in this place, saving many lives with a bounty hunter named Toland. Eventually, he was dubbed the Tenebrious Knight, and a hero known for his justice, until his older brother and sister-in-law, aka the parents of Neural, vanished all of a sudden while doing a mission. After trying and failing to find them, that incident has hit him very hard. So as a result of his mental state, he hanged his sword and title as a knight and retired. Now he's a regular old salaryman who's extremely bitter about what has become of Casimirs as time went on, with their knights being seen as nothing more than entertainment, being used as tools for such a thing. But other than that though, yeah, unlike the other three, which were a bounty hunter super soldier with the blood of a sea god inside of her, a fragment of a dragon god that can manipulate reality and dreams, and an artificial cat girl with immense knowledge on a lot of things, and also has a mechanical spine monster thing as a pet, Moinar is just an ex-knight turned overworked and a tired salaryman who didn't take breaks. And I guess that's kind of unique in its own way, I guess. Moinar and Gregor have a very, very similar past of being heroes in their lands and then realizing that they are just tools in the grand scheme of things after a big incident, eventually becoming bitter and depressed as all hell. And I guess the big difference between them is that Gregor doesn't believe in himself to come back to his glory days as a hero, unlike Moinar after the Near Light event, I guess. But other than that though, cool ego. But with that out of the way, hope you all have saved up as much pulls as you can, because I sure did. And do tell me the results down in the comments below. I would very much like to know. Also, we're so close to 5,000 subscribers, so while you're at it, do that please. Thank you. Anyways, good luck in the poll and bye.